Welcome to the College Investor Audio Show, where we talk about the biggest issues impacting millennial money, from student loan debt to side hustles to building wealth. We will show you how to get out of debt so that you can build real wealth for the future.
Hello and welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. So glad you're here. Today we take a look at what is Title IV and how does it affect financial aid. Let's get right to it. So as you explore your financial aid options, you'll likely come across the term Title IV in reference to educational institutions. Although the term can play a critical role in how you finance your education, most aren't even sure what the heck Title IV means. The good news is that you are about to take a deep dive into what this means. Plus, we're going to also explore how this classification will impact your financial aid. So first, what's a Title IV school? Back in 1965, 15,000 years ago, President Johnson signed the Higher Education Act. With his signature, the goal was to create more resources for financial institutions providing an educational experience designed to prepare students for gainful employment. Additionally, the new law sought to provide financial assistance to students pursuing higher education through degree programs of at least 2 years. Since the initial passage of the law, amendments have been added along the way to create more rules surrounding what students are able to borrow under federal law. Title IV requirements. All schools are able to become Title IV schools. Private colleges, public universities, for-profit institutions, and vocational schools are all eligible to become Title IV schools. However, they'll need to meet a few requirements to become Title IV accredited. These requirements include: the institution must be licensed and authorized to provide post-secondary education programs in their state. The school must be accredited by an accreditation agency approved by the Secretary of Education. The school can only admit students with a valid high school diploma or a recognized equivalent. The institution must submit all financial statements which align with established auditing standards. The school cannot have filed for bankruptcy protection. For-profit and vocational schools have an additional requirement. Beyond being licensed, the institution must offer the same program for at least 2 years before applying for Title IV status. Why Title IV status matters. Will the lengthy Title IV status really affect you? Yes. Here's why Title IV status matters. Educational. First, the Title IV status of an educational institution indicates its competency. The process of being a Title IV education institution is fairly extensive. Any institution will need to meet stringent regulations to achieve this goal. With that, you can be more sure of a Title IV status school providing a stellar educational experience to propel your career forward. Although there are plenty of schools that operate without the Title IV classification, you may be putting your future at risk with an unaccredited school. After all, the Department of Education goes through an extensive review of a college to provide the Title IV status. The goal is to ensure that you are getting a quality education. Without that seal of approval, it can be difficult to know what you're paying for. Financial. Beyond the educational ramifications of working with a school that is not Title IV accredited, there are financial repercussions. If a school is not a Title IV school, students cannot take advantage of the numerous federal student aid programs. That's right. You could pass up the opportunity to tap into federal student loans, Pell Grants, federal work-study opportunities, and a whole lot more. Not only that, but also most private lenders will not allow students to borrow funds to pay for a school that is not a Title IV school. Finally, even if you can secure financing for your education at a non-Title IV school, you're going to have difficulties if you even plan to refinance in the future. That's because the vast majority of lenders that offer student loan refinancing will not work with students that didn't graduate from a Title IV degree program. Yikes! So here's how to determine if a school is a Title IV school. It's clearly important to determine if a school is a Title IV school or not. At the very least, you should know what you're signing up for ahead of time. Luckily for us, it's fairly easy to figure out if a school is a Title IV school. The first place to look is on the Title IV schools list. you can download the federal school code list and then search for your school. If you have trouble determining if a school is a Title IV school, you can contact the Department of Education's Federal Student Aid Information Center. You can use the live chat feature or just call the number to ask about a particular school directly. Just Google the number. I don't want to confuse you with a bunch of numbers. Finally, you can reach out to the school itself to find out more about its Title IV status. The financial aid office at any educational institution should be able to tell you whether or not the school has passed the Title IV accreditation. Should you attend a school that doesn't have Title IV status? So after doing your research, you find out the school you want to go to is not a Title IV school. If that happens to you, it's important to consider this lack of accreditation as a warning sign. Although the lack of a Title IV accreditation doesn't really necessarily mean that you won't receive a great education, it does ensure that you won't have access to the federal funding you may need. It is possible to earn a useful education anywhere, but without a Title IV accreditation, it can be difficult to understand how well a particular institution will prepare you for the workforce. Unfortunately, the hard reality is that many for-profit schools lack accreditation because they don't provide enough value to their students. It's likely a better idea to invest in your education at an institution that has proven to be a good choice in the eyes of the Department of Education. So, what happens if your school loses Title IV status? Unfortunately, a currently accredited school can lose its Title IV status. With that, you might run into a situation where you're attending a Title IV school that just suddenly loses its accreditation. If that happens, it can be a difficult time. As a student in that situation, you might be forced to transfer to another Title IV school willing to accept your credits. Additionally, you may be able to have any student loans you have taken out to fund your education at that institution discharged. So that's good news. The bottom line, Title IV status matters. Title IV status has a huge impact on your educational outcomes. Although it is possible to get a great education anywhere, the Title IV status ensures that the school has met the stringent requirements of the Department of Education to receive its accreditation. Why take a gamble with your future on a school that hasn't proven its value? Beyond the educational component, anyone that wants access to federal student aid programs should rule out any schools that don't meet the Title IV status. Well, that's our show for today. I hope it was helpful. And if you had this conversation with somebody else you think it could be helpful to them, please feel free to share this podcast with them as well. You can find the resources and links that we mentioned today at thecollegeinvestor.com. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll talk to you again real soon.